Hello everyone, I'm Jan Luther, the EGO Tamer, and today I want to talk about my new book, newly revised book, Grief Is Mourning Sickness. About 24 hours after my son died, one of my friends showed up at my house, God bless her, unannounced, and sat with me in my front room and was asking me how I was feeling. And I remember sitting there with her. It's clear as day. Traumatic moments and memories usually tend to be that clear. And she was asking me how I was doing. How are you feeling? And I couldn't find the words. There just really were no words for the pain, the fear, the panic. I was feeling so many emotions at once. And so she told me quite frankly that I looked like crap. And I said, thank you very much. I feel worse than that. And she said, tell me. I just feel like if you can verbalize a little bit about how you're feeling, it will help you to start get the process moving. And so I thought about that for a moment. And I said, when you birth a child, labor builds up slowly. And you get to this point that we call transition, where it's sheer terror. You want to die. Get this baby out of me or put this baby back. Everything about you is in trauma in that moment. I said, in this moment, I feel like that. I feel like I am literally in transition and in terror. And it just occurs to me as we're talking about it that birthing a child and deathing a child have a lot of similarities. And I can only pray that I'll be delivered from this pain and this trauma and get out of this transition soon, because if not, I don't want to live like this. I said, grief is mourning sickness. M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G. And that was actually the beginning of the story of my book. I realized that the only way for me to really stay on the planet and in the process was to do as much as I could to become the observer of what I was feeling, what I was experiencing, and hopefully pass along the things that I was learning. What I discovered as I was going through the process is that we've all heard of the box, right? You need to think outside the box. Well, I started questioning, if we have to think outside the box, what does it mean to think inside the box? What in the heck's in the box? What is the box? And so I use the metaphor and analogy that the box is really our belief system. My whole world rests in my box of beliefs. Sometimes it's limiting, more times than not if I'm listening to my ego. Maybe it's not even healthy, but it's usually comfortable and familiar because it's my beliefs. It's what I actually believe. And so in order to get outside of the box, we have to understand what's in the box. And so in your box, you have certain rules about what makes life safe, what puts you in control, what makes your family love you, what makes you a success. And in my box, I have the same. And the irony is, without our even realizing it, these beliefs actually become our judgments and what I call our book of rules. And so anytime someone says or does something that pushes against my rules, I'm going to push back. It's a reflex. It's automatic. I don't even have to stop and think about it. It's what my ego does intuitively. Nope, that doesn't fit my rules. Think about politics. Think about religion. Our boxes are pretty succinct. And if someone shows up with a different box and they want to change me in my box, I'm going to push back. And so what happens is we're going along and life brings us some kind of change. Or someone brings us some kind of new idea that we don't like. And we say it with me, no, no, no. Are you all resonating with this? You understand what's happening? I think of this as the buttons that we talk about being our emotional buttons. When I automatically say no, and it's because someone has pushed a button that is actually a clue to my rule about this and life. So my beliefs are the buttons or the boundaries of my safe life. And so when we have change, especially unexpected change, and isn't it usually unexpected, right? It's usually and then one day, right? And there we are going, no, no, no. Our spirit does what? Our spirit closes. And when it closes, it contracts. And I refer to this as PR, or persistent resistance. And when we're in a state of persistent resistance, we are emanating a closed energy which will eventually lead to some kind of dysfunction or disease. I can show every single person, if they're willing to be open and willing to work with me, where their depression, where their addiction, or where their chronic illness came from an incident, a when, who, did or didn't, say or do, what. And I felt closed. And that's really all you have to remember. If you can find the moment when you felt closed, you wrote a new rule. You created another boundary on your beliefs. You created another limitation for yourself. And that moment of decision is the moment of gold. Because as we go back to those moments and we use the Ego Tamer tapping formula to fill in the blanks and heal that, as we've seen over and over today, when those numbers come down, the next belief behind it pops up, and we just keep taking down the trees. And without even realizing it, our energy is opening, our spirit is opening, and we start having flow and health. You've heard me talk about being 250 pounds and having chronic migraines and back pain and depression. This is how I healed it. By testing every, and I had a bunch of them, every BS belief that I had about what should and shouldn't be happening and how poor me, and I started challenging all of those with tapping. And as I got them out of my system, I was able to start literally healing my body and definitely healing my soul.